Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. Today's video is featuring some products from Pinkfresh. I'm using the foiled sentiments, the sunflower stamps, die stencils, and then the Essentials Ornate Circle, which I really super love. These washi sets are a little bit larger because they stamp as one whole piece, and that's also how they die cut out, but that's also why you can use them with the super cool washi tape, which is even faster than the card that I'm going to show you today. So in order to stamp this, I am taping down my paper, and then I am I'm picking up the stamp with the outside of my Misty door and using just the Pinkfresh black ink. This is Copic safe because I'm going to be doing a little bit of coloring with that, not too much. And then I'm going to stamp that down, and I actually did stamp it twice, so I have had very good luck with like matching these up without it moving if I need to double stamp. But I didn't show that to you because we're trying to do this quick. That's the whole premise. I had recently shared a video where we talked about complementary colors, and you guys had said that that was super helpful. And so I thought that we would touch back on that. And one of the best ways to do fast cards well is by utilizing your complementary colors. So here I thought I was going to do a little happy birthday sentiment, and I ended up picking out a different one. These little foiled sentiments are fantastic. They are relatively inexpensive, and they color beautifully, and you have no investment of any of the hot foiling. You can just have the look of it on your sentiment and have it be beautiful and extra for very little investment. So here I'm just going to get my stencils lined up. I like to add a little bit of dimension to my stenciling by using multiple colors on the same stencil. So I'll be putting down a base layer, and then I'll be shading it with a secondary color. Sometimes two, only really on the flowers, I'm going to be honest. So I'm just going to put down that base layer, and then like at the base of my leaves, I'll add a little bit of shading with the mowed lawn. And then for my next layer, like my next stencil, I'll use the mowed lawn and I'll shade it with rustic wilderness, so on and so forth. So while we're watching me do the stenciling, which I feel like is pretty self-explanatory, I did want to touch on a few things. So if you're not familiar, Pinkfresh does this fun little thing like once a month. It's called Craft Hour with Jeff. And that Jeff is Jeff Lindbergh, if you're not familiar with him. I have had the pleasure of meeting him in real life. He is absolutely hysterical. He's such a fun kind of guy. I met him at Simon Says Create, and we ended up, like a group of us went out to lunch together, which also included Greg from Concord 9th, who I love, and he is literally one of the funniest people I've ever met. So Jeff and Greg together was a great source of entertainment for my lunch hour when I worked Create way back when. So I am excited to catch up with him again. I will be doing their craft hour actually this Saturday. It is 12 Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, which is my time zone. So I will also put that in the community tab in case you want to come over and hang out and do a little bit of crafting with us. I'm super excited about that. And was there something else I was going to tell you? Oh, I believe they're having a very large retirement sale, which I always try to share with you guys when that's going on, because you like to save money, I like to save money. I like to, spread the wealth so that everybody can save the monies. Yeah, there might be like something specific that you were looking for. But yeah, their retiring section is 50 to 75% off, which is amazing. And they're gearing up, doing sneak peeks for a new release, which I'm super excited about as well. So that's that. That's all the housekeeping things. Back to this card. This yellow one is the only one where I used 3 colors. And it was just to make sure that I had a really strong yellow. I didn't want my shading to get muddy and lose the yellow. So for complementary colors, the reason that they work so well together is they're opposites on the color wheel. And so they just make themselves look nice together. It just works that way. So yellow's complement is purple. And so that's how I picked the color for the berries is, you know, I knew they were going to be more on the violet side, but I want to show you that there is a couple of ways that you can use the color wheel to your advantage. And so we're not going to get into all of them for this way, but I just wanted to show you that you don't necessarily have to go with the yellow and the purple. So the stenciling is done. We're going to get into just a little bit of copic shading that I'm going to be adding. This is not necessary, and you could totally skip this up if you're looking for a super fast card. The stenciling is beautiful and will get the job done. But I have a hard time letting a card not be my own. So like adding the stenciling is nice and it's pretty and I love it and it makes my job as a colorist much easier, but it's not as enjoyable for me. Not that I don't like the stenciling and I don't like the result, I do, but I am a person who enjoys the process. And so one of the ways that I can still make a very quick card, but still enjoy the process is by adding my own little signature things. For me, that means adding more dimension, i.e. adding some color. So really all I'm doing is I'm going in with just a couple of colors for each one of these elements and just adding a little bit more shading. For the leaves, I'm focusing in on where they are drawn kind of ruffled, and I'm adding a little bit of shading from the outside edge in. This is just going to give them a little bit more dimension and more movement. For the berries, I went in really just with two colors to make the in between the berries a little bit darker and then make the ones on top a little bit brighter. So the purple made it the areas in between a little bit darker. The pink made the ones on top a little bit brighter. That was my whole goal with that. For the, oh, I missed a spot there. I had to go back in. So for the sunflowers, this is the part where I spent the most time shading, but even then it was not a long time. I'm starting with my darkest color because I already have all of this beautiful color down. I really just need to put in a few more shadows to get the dimension that I want. So I'm starting with the E99, just putting in the shadow layer, and then I will blend that out with the YR24 and the Y08. For this particular color combination, I had to add a third color because if I didn't add in the yellow, my YR or my E99 and my YR24 wouldn't blend into the yellow because it's not the same. The yellow is what makes it blend, and that's true even when I'm coloring this particular combination without the stencil. I needed the yellow. So I just went over just right where the shading was just to get it to blend into the stenciling that was already there. I did not completely recolor the image. And then once I'm happy with this, I'm going to go on to the center. And for that, I just added a little bit of stippling of some darker browns. So that way it had, again, that little bit more dimension that felt more like a Kelly card than just I simply stenciled this. So now once the shading is done, I'm going to put my die in place to get ready to die cut that out. But before I do, I need to pick out the color of my circle, my ornate circle, which is super cool. So here is the circle. I'm going to get out my color wheel. Somebody had asked me what colors I used for them, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember. Just use whatever you have. So yellow's complement is violet, but we also have quite a bit of green on here. So we could use yellow-green's complement, which is red-violet. Or if your sunflower is more on the orange side, you could also use a blue as a complementary color. So any one of those would work. Here, I'm just showing you, this is the eggplant color. It makes it that yellow pop. The blue does the same thing, especially with that green. And then here we have a red violet or a plum color, which also looks really nice with this. Any of these would work. So whatever colors you choose for, in this case, our bouquet, you can pick any one of their complements. I went with purple, which is yellow's complement, because I thought it looked the nicest with the gold, and that's the sentiment I was already using. So here, what is so cool about this die. Let me tell you. You can completely cut it out like a circle. That's the part that you see over there. That's the outline. Or you can cut it out of your cardstock and not cut out the outside circle portion and use it on your card base. So here I'm just lining it up with the gold underneath. That was always the purpose of the gold, was to use it as kind of like a little sneak peek base layer to tie in the gold of the sentiment. But I could totally make this card like this with this dark purple base and then put my sentiment right there, and that would be super pretty. I wanted the white to be on the outside. I may have some regrets about this. I'm going to be honest. Here, I didn't really like the way the sentiment was kind of popping off. And so here's way number 1 that you can color these foiled sentiments. I just took this is Villainous Potion. It was the closest match that I had to the purple paper. And I just took it direct ink pad to paper. And then I blended over it with my ink blending tool to kind of clean up my foil. Still beautiful, still shiny, still in perfect condition as far as the sentiment goes. Just colored the paper behind it. And then you could do this, there's so many sentiments that are in that little package. So here, I'm going to start building my card. I am gluing the frame, now that I have it completely cut out, to the gold. And then I also decided to keep that purple circle in the center because I didn't like the way the gold metallic looked. Now, I'm going to be honest, because that's what I believe. I believe in transparency. I'm going to be honest with you. I think I may have gone overboard on the purple. I don't know how I feel about the whole entire finished card. It may just be because purple's not my favorite color. Even though purple is the cousin to blue, and blue is my boyfriend. Purple's like the one I want to sit at the kids' table. Like, that's the cousin I don't want to have conversation with. But I do think purple can be very pretty with yellow, and that is why I chose to go with this. Because it looked good with the gold, it looked good with the yellow, I just embraced it. So for the flowers, I wanted to pop them up so my card would have some dimension. Normally my cards take me anywhere, depending upon how detailed they are, 2.5, 3 hours sometimes. That's pretty extensive for me. But this card was done start to finish in 50 minutes. If you wanted something even faster than that, you could totally skip the copic coloring portion and the foam tape portion, and you could probably knock it out in 20 minutes. That's pretty good for card making. So for the sentiment, so it would sit flush, I put foam just where I needed the support and then glue everywhere else so that it would sit flush on there. I very quickly realized that even though my Villainous Potion looked like it matched, it didn't actually match. And so I'm going to have to fix that. Here, I'm adding in my shimmers to my flowers and my berries. I'm also going to go in with a white gel pen and add some white highlights on the berries and just the center of the sunflower. This, again, is another way that I can make this image more unique and more my own and something that I'll be happier with. And then also, I'm going to color in the white of the die cut. Again, maybe this is where I went wrong with too much purple. I'm not sure. But so I'm using a V09 that matched my paper pretty much spot on. Don't do what I do. Do this part though, if you want to color it. So here, I knew that the purple didn't match perfectly, so I went in and I colored it with my copic. The copic will color your foil. The copic colors anything, quite honestly. So I knew it was going to color my foil, but I'm going to use that same trick that we used the other day with the embossing powder with the colorless blender. And I'm just going to go over the color, take the colorless blender, go over the foil, and then scribble it off on some scrap paper. And again, this worked perfectly. Cleaned it up. It was still shiny, shimmery, foily, all the good things. And now it was exactly colored the way that I needed it to be. In order to tie in the gold and just fill up some of the white space around the edges, I am going to spatter on some gold perfect pearls. And then I'm going to add a few gems. Now, what was I saying? Don't do as I do, do as I say. What was it? Oh, I know. The longest part for me was going back in and coloring around the edges of that flower die cut. Don't do that. Just go around the edges to begin with before you do the die cutting. I thought maybe I was going to have to leave some blank areas for the white, and I didn't even end up doing that. So I could have just saved myself the time-consuming process of coloring the edges while it was still adhered after it was die cut, by just doing it before I die cut it. So here I've just picked some greenish gold gems. These are from Honeybee. Put them at kind of the same diagonal I did my gold splatters. And then that's it. That's the whole card. So I hope that you guys learned a little something. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I hope you will check out the sale if you're interested and join us on Saturday for our craft chat. And that's it. So thank you guys so much. I will catch you on the next video. Bye.